Hey guys, Mallory here in front of our Gulf of Mexico tank here at the Flint RiverQuarium, and I wanted to take a few minutes to just tell you about a little bit more about the Gulf of Mexico and kind of some environmental impacts and threats and issues, current issues that are affecting the saltwater of the Gulf of Mexico. So within this tank we have some animals that you can find in the Gulf of Mexico. We have a spadefish and a butterfly fish and the French angelfish, and there's a conch in here, boxfish, and somewhere is the hogfish. But yeah, so all sorts of fishes and turtles and mammals live in the Gulf of Mexico waters. So the Gulf of Mexico itself is over 600,000 square miles of water, which is very, very large. Not the largest body of water in the world, so it is the 9th largest body of water in the world. So kind of pales in comparison to other like larger oceans, but it is still pretty big, and kind of is on the beaches, or we can visit it by going to the beaches of Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, and Mexico. So kind of that curved area right there. And if you've been to the beach there, maybe you're planning a trip there, you know that there's all sorts of things to do there at the beach. People go for fishing, for deep sea fishing, saltwater surf fishing, things like that. A lot of commercial fishermen are out in the Gulf. So that's kind of how we use the waters and harvest what is out there in that ocean. So all sorts of cool, fun, recreational things like that. The Gulf is also home to about 4,000 oil and natural gas platforms that are out there. Sometimes you can see them from the shore, but they're out there, out in the Gulf, drilling down to the rock or through the rock below the sea to get those, to those natural gas and oil pockets, which they pump up, and we use those as resources for fuels and all sorts of petroleum products and things like that, which is important. We need those things. However, some of you may remember the Deepwater Horizon incident from 2010. There are hazards that come with having those platforms so far out there and kind of drilling up and dealing with those dangerous or hazardous natural resource products. Things can blow up, accidents can happen. So it's just kind of something to be careful of, and you kind of know going in when you're talking about those oil and gas platforms. Also, not only is that bad for the people and the company and the people that work there, but also any sort of marine life around when an explosion or a leak happens. So that's one of the kind of cautions about the Gulf of Mexico. Another threat or environmental impact to it is the coastal development. Those beaches are beautiful and they're so much fun to visit, but as more people go to the beach, you have more pollution, more waste, more runoff. As more of the beachfront property is developed, you can have higher runoff of the pollutants or things like insecticides and pesticides and fertilizers that can be run off into the water. You have things like red tides and kind of a bloom of the algae that can affect the plant life and the marine life in the waters as well. So it's kind of another hazard or something to think about as we're developing the coastline. Because these fish, they call the Gulf their home. Sea turtles, dolphins, whales, all sorts of marine life, and we want to make sure that we keep their home clean and safe and healthy for them. Now you may think, well, here in Albany, like, we're really far from the Gulf and I shouldn't really worry about that, that doesn't really matter. Well, the Flint River, which is out here, right outside the aquarium, it flows south, and once it crosses into Florida, the name gets changed to the Apalachicola River, and then that empties into the Gulf of Mexico. There's a lot of delicious and famous oysters there, as well as different shellfish and marine life, intertidal life that happens in the Apalachicola Bay, and what we do to the waters of the Flint directly impacts that industry and those animals and those people there, and even into the Gulf. So what we do here and how we protect and conserve our water resource. As we all know, all water is connected and all water flows to the ocean. So how we use and protect and conserve the Flint certainly affects directly the Gulf of Mexico and the animals and the people that live there. So just something to keep in mind while you are using your water here in Albany and in the Flint River watershed. So thanks for hanging out. Hope you maybe learned something. Please, if you feel led or want to learn more, do your own research. There's all sorts of ways that you can impact and protect and conserve our water, salt water, and Gulf of Mexico. Bye guys.